Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Sane-ish podcast. Glad you could join us. So welcome back. This is the Sane-ish podcast for people healing from trauma, addiction, abuse, mental health struggles, grief, narcissists, every other flavor of chaos life can throw at you, and somehow still functioning mostly. I'm your host, Holly Broughton, survivor, truth teller, boundary setter, and proud member of the Still Healing, Still Hilarious Club. Around here, we don't do shame, embarrassment, and we don't do perfection. Just real talk, dark humor, hard truths, and a whole lot of hope. Because sanity is overrated and healing, that shit is messy. This is Sane-ish, and let's get to it. So this is our 12th episode, and I have, and yet again, I have another friend of mine who I go back a few years, and this woman was with me, pretty much from the beginning, and she's just been a light in my recovery. She used to do my hair a long time ago, but she's been with me through my journey, and she's just been a bright spot. And I'm very grateful to her because I've always been able to, rely on her, and she's just been a force to reckon with. So, and today, she's always pushed through. I've seen her with her kids. I've seen her bounce back through a lot of stuff. And today, I'm so proud of her because she's completely turned her life around, and now she's got her own business, and it's so spiritual. And I've seen her do a lot of things, and it's amazing that she has really done a breakthrough in my opinion. So anyway, I just want to welcome her to Sane-ish, and Leanne, welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
I love what you said about dark humor. And
Oh yeah.
love
I
some dark
mean,
humor. Yeah.
go without humor.
So I'd like to take a moment to say a prayer before I start, because I often like to invite God into my space when I'm speaking and doing these things, and call in my team. So I just want to take a deep breath and Creator Great Spirit, I call upon you and I ask for your guidance. I ask that you set aside my ego and what I think I know, so that your wisdom may flow through me in the way that will be heard through you and not me. And may my story shed light on others. I call upon the guardians of the east, the south, the west, and the north, the up above and so below, to anchor both Holly and I in this space so that we can speak freely with our hearts, our minds, and our spirits. We call upon our well-seated ancestors and our spirit guides to bear witness to this session, to this podcast, but also to help us, hold us in a way that is useful. May my words be clear like the air. May my heart be open and trusting in the process. May we experience a beautiful connection together, and may our spirits rise above in a good way. I hope.
Thank you. I think it's going to be good.
I think so too.
So tell us, how did it all start?
Holy cow. There's so many avenues you can go through about this. I am originally from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised in Greenpoint, and from a single mom. My father was murdered at the age of 4, And so that started my path of trauma. I was an only child and later found out that I had about 8 siblings. I had already known that, but that is a big part of my story. But I had 8 children, I mean, 8 brothers and sisters that were half brothers and sisters. And so um, being an only child was I was one of those latchkey kids in the 80s.
Mm.
So my mom was my mother and my father. I also, so, so then I moved to North Carolina at the age of 15. But my story really starts at a very early age of not feeling like I belonged, not feeling like I was meant to be on this earth, feeling very disconnected, and just an odd kid, really. And I had these gifts at the age of 7 that I wasn't very clear about. And that was around the same time because I don't know, open book. I had been sexually molested as a kid from the ages of 2 to 11. So the combination of those two, and then being picked on and bullied and like calling names, because at the time my name was Leslie, or is Leslie, but I go by Leanne. And so I would be called Leslie the lesbian, and I wasn't I wasn't too white and I wasn't too brown. So,
Mm.
I lived in an area where there were different cultures, but in the Hispanic community, I wasn't too Hispanic. And then I would spend a lot of time with Italians. And I thought I was Italian until I got my DNA. So there's that.
Mm.
Um, but I didn't feel like I resonated with the Hispanic community. And there was a big part of me that was really embarrassed to be Hispanic, and because of the culture at the
Mm.
time. That
Yeah.
is not that way for me today. So there's a
Now
kind of,
was that back in New York, or was
yeah,
that
that
when
was
you
back
moved
in New
to?
York.
Okay.
That
Okay.
was back in New York. And so I was just this latchkey kid who very confused, had these spiritual gifts that didn't understand, dealing with trauma. And, at the age of 11, I tried to commit suicide at a junior high school that was 5 stories high. So that was the first experience I had of uh, suicide, not ideation, but attempt. And so that happened, and that's when things started to unravel for me at the age of 11.
What when you were 11, like, do you remember what was going on in your head at that time? Like,
Yeah, yeah, lots of depression, lots of like not wanting to exist, lots of feeling just absolutely alone. Just
mm.
it it was it was really, like, I can remember the random thoughts and the um having anxiety attacks in school as well.
Oh,
And
okay.
so um I had this boy who I had a crush on, and the week before I tried to attempt to commit suicide, he had pulled a rifle at me
Oh, wow.
and at his footsteps. And he felt like it was a joke, but it wasn't. That was serious, right? Like for an 11
Sure.
year old, it's
Sure.
really serious. And one day next week, he started picking at me, and he was sitting behind me in class, and it was like light shut off, like I'm done.
Mm.
And so I went into the girls' bathroom and opened the door, and one of the teachers was concerned about me because she saw that I started crying, and so she told someone to come and check on me. And as I was about to go out the window, which was like 4 or 5 stories high, she grabbed me.
Oh,
And
wow.
Yeah, so that was my first hospitalization too. And I would love to say that that was the last one, but that was like one out of 25 mental institutions or
Yeah.
more, if that. And
Yeah.
so, oh, I kind of get a little tearful on that because that's not my, like when I share this story, it's not who I am today. It's
Right.
something different.
Sure.
Um,
Sure. It's
it's
your journey. It's your
yeah,
journey.
yeah. It's often, even when I speak in recovery rooms, it's often one of those moments of like, oh my God, who is that person?
Yeah.
But so for me, it was more like it was an opening of a door to where I can learn how to have skills and tools when I went into that hospital. I'd love to say that that was the end all be all of not of having tools, but you know, my journey went into addiction. It went into inappropriate behaviors. It went into just doing things that were self-destructive, you know?
Mm. Mm.
Um, and then I moved to North Carolina at the age of 15, and my mom had gotten married. And so that was strange. And I had this longing. I had daddy issues, right? Like I didn't
Mhm.
understand that I had daddy issues. And so feeling like I had been abandoned, feeling like, you know, I didn't have a father who loved me, which I later found out that he did. Um, you know, from his other woman. So that was quite an enlightening experience in that moment. That happened like about 2 or 3 years ago. But so I moved here and had attempted suicide again. And because I had moved to North Carolina, I did not want to move. I had had my first boyfriend, and he was actually a really good boyfriend. And so that was uncomfortable. But to be honest with you, I did not love living in New York City. Like I just didn't. And I would pray to move out of North Carolina, New York City. So, and North Carolina has been great for me. Um, so, you know, 14, another attempt, and then there were a bunch of others, and I don't want to get into detail about that. Um, so just this being a teenager was difficult in itself. Identity crisis, all that stuff, emotional, didn't know how to navigate the way I felt. And, you know, I later found out that it, there is something in the recovery field that we hear is feelings aren't fact. Well, they are to an extent, but they come and go. And that was one of the biggest lessons that I had learned was um, that I am entitled to feel what I feel. However, where can I filter that feeling and move forward instead of reacting, responding to an emotion that I couldn't label or understand? Because we're actually not taught how to identify how we feel. It's typically anger, sadness, um, fear. There's like 5 words that we identify with emotions, and
Right.
there are a plethora of emotions that we're not taught, you know, as young um,
Right.
children. And
Right.
you know, on top of that, it's like that whole our parents do the best that they can in the moment of what they have with what they are given through generation to generation. Well, I wasn't so blessed with that. I had to figure it out on my own. So, you know, I spoke about those gifts that I had, and I can remember telling my mom that I remember taking a ghost home with me at the age of 11 as well. And and asking all these little girls to hold my hand because there was a ghost in the room and I freaked them out. But I swear to you that that it was a little boy, I remember. And I really believe that that is my son today, my oldest son. And so there were little things like that. And I would see things and feel things. And, you know, the medication that they gave me muddled that. It made it to where I couldn't hear, see, or understand that those uh, those senses that I was keenly aware of at that time.
Hmm.
So, I started experimenting at the age of, I guess, 12, 13 of alcohol. It wasn't drugs until I was about 16. And so the
Were
combination,
you ever scared of that kind of
no, it felt
situation?
really natural.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't scared. It was like, and there were things I do believe our soul, there's another thing, and it may be challenging to the listeners, is that I do believe in past lives, or in the shamanic terms, we talk about other lives.
Hmm.
And so, as I've dived deeper into my spiritual growth, I learned that I have about a few thousand um, past lives. And so I really believe that there were things that I knew that I didn't know that I knew. And so I later discovered how that worked, the mechanics of that. And it was through my soul. It's the same thing as like a savant, right? Like
Uh-huh.
a child who
Yep.
knows how to play the piano amazingly. Potentially that is a past life experience. So there's that. And so with that being said, I had been traumatized from the ages of 2 to 11. So I didn't understand that. Like, I didn't understand why my mother did not do anything about it, and why, and I had so much anger at that time. Um, and so there's just so much information that probably we don't have enough time, but I knew something in the depths of me at the age of 18, that even though I didn't stop trying to commit suicide until the ages of 37, that
Mhm.
there was something that there were gifts that I needed to allow myself to open up. But that was the time at the age of 18 is where I closed it all. And that was through alcohol and drugs.
Mm.
And so, my mom had moved to California my senior year. Um, and I stayed in North Carolina, and I paid the bills and barely graduated high school. Like, I had one class that I had to take, and I had a 45 in my English class because I was partying.
Mhm.
And she said, if you take this class, if you take this test, I will pass you. And I said, okay. And I was 1 point away from failing that class. And she said, I'll call you if you fail. And she called me, and I thought I didn't graduate. And so I walked that year, and my mom wasn't there. So I had a whole bunch of things that were tied to my mom and the abuse and all these things. And so that whole independence thing of like, I'll just do it myself, really became very strong at an early age, because I often felt like I couldn't depend on anybody, that there was no one to depend on. And I have learned as I've gotten older and as I've healed is that it's important to have people to count on,
Mhm.
to trust, and to allow in.
Mhm.
Um, because I was from New York, like, don't mess with me. That was my attitude. And it's oftentimes people were like, you have like this black cloud over you. And some women didn't want to approach me because they thought I was a bitch. And I
Yeah.
was like, no, that's not but I was screaming for that though,
Yeah. Yeah.
screaming for belonging,
Yeah.
right?
I'm from New York.
I
From New York.
right, right. Right. So, you know, I ended up having 3 children. I had a 19-year-old, my firstborn when I was 19. I had my second when I was 23. I had my third when I was 25. I got married at the age of 22. I wish I could say that that lasted, but it didn't. So relationships were really difficult for me as well, you know. Um, and I started going to therapy at that time. But I didn't think I had issues. I mean, I knew that I had some mental health issues. I knew that something needed to change, but I wasn't quite there yet. I think I needed to suffer. Well, not suffer. It's more like I needed more information to get to my bottom. And that was painful, and I don't recommend it at all. It was painful. You know, there were times where I was kicked out of my house, I was homeless. Um, you know, I left my marriage. I guess I was in active addiction, but I was also not faithful. Um, I didn't know how to have relationships. Um, I didn't know how to do it. Was like a 4-year-old in an adult body.
Mm.
Um, not knowing the basics of how to have healthy and meaningful relationships. And I learned that throughout my journey around when I was 26, 27. Um, and leaving my ex-husband and my children was probably one of the hardest things I could have ever done, especially for my children, because I knew that I wasn't able to take care of them and that their father would, and he lived across the street from his parents, so they were able to support him better than I would or my mother would, because I didn't have that much support. So, you know, I'm grateful that he was a good father. He's a good father, and that they did not turn out bad. So, you know, and they have truly been a gift for me in learning, helping me to grow myself. It has not been without its challenges, like most parents, but I'm truly grateful that they have found it in their hearts to forgive me for where I was. Um, so, you know, I decided to go into recovery at the age, I decided to go to rehab at 26 before I got divorced, and I got kicked out.
Mm.
And that was,
Why did you get kicked out?
well, it was her fault. It was her fault.
It was. I mean, of course it was.
She
You
antagonized
didn't
me.
have accountability, did you?
Yeah, no accountability. No accountability.
Okay, of course.
Yeah, like I didn't have you're right. I did. One, I was incapable of being honest with myself. And two, the accountability, I blamed the whole world on my mishaps, not being able to acknowledge or take accountability for some of the damage that I had created and created for myself as well. Um, and so, you know, that rehab, I was there for like, what, 8 days, and got kicked out for fighting. I wasn't physically fighting, but I have been known to fight men and women. So this gives you like a little background picture of like where I've come from.
Good job.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. That was me. And so I got kicked out, and my husband at the time picked me up, and I went home, and he was drinking, and in my mind I was like, if you can't beat them, join them, because you know at the time I believed that he's an alcoholic, but it was not for me to say that he was.
Mm.
It's not my place. That was another part of our issue. But so I still wanted to get sober, and it was like I really wanted to go to meetings and all these other things, but I was just not there yet. And from the time of 28 to about 36 or something like that, I was in and out of recovery, in and out, in and out, in and out. I had the beautiful luxury of meeting a narcissist in the rooms of alcohol, of the rooms, and had my first experience of understanding what narcissism is. And I didn't know that until maybe 5 years later. That threw me for a loop. And, in between those times, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and depression. And I really understood myself a lot more better. And I was given the opportunity to be in a program for about 2 to 3 years to work with dialectical behavior treatment. And
Hmm.
I tell you what, that was a game changer. I still wasn't sober yet, but I was starting to understand myself a lot more better than I did when I was 20, 18, 16, 14. And
So explain for people who don't know what borderline personality is, because a lot of people know what bipolar is, and a lot of people know what depression is and anxiety is, but we don't hear a lot about borderline personality. Can you explain what that is?
it's very, so borderline personality disorder is not it's in the DSM, it is not diagnosed as a chemical imbalance. It is considered as a learned behavior through a parental person.
Okay.
There are several levels of borderline. I
Okay.
had happened to had the acute diagnosis.
Uh-huh.
Um, Typically, a lot of people who are ready to do it's like changing your behaviors. So I'm gonna just kind of read it because I feel like it's important to give you the right verbiage. Um, so it's characterized as a mental health. It's basically difficulties of being able to regulate your emotions, your impulses, and it leads to unstable relationships, self-image issues, and impulsive behaviors. And,
Okay.
and so I had to learn how to um, have skills that would help me to have healthier relationships or a healthier sense of self.
Okay.
And that was not without any, it was difficult. There are different levels of BPD, and some people never heal from it.
Yeah.
Some people literally try to commit suicide because, and there's oftentimes uh, it can be closely identical to borderline personality, bipolar, and that's what they had diagnosed me with before, and that wasn't the case because there was not quite a chemical imbalance. It was a behavioral pattern that I was doing. And the way it showed up for me is that I would try to commit suicide, or I would have unhealthy relationships that would be toxic, because I didn't know how, and I thrived off of the chaos
Yeah.
until I was able to understand my emotions and regulate myself. And identify how to self-soothe myself. So these were all these tools that I received during this 2 to 3 year span, along with uncovering all of the trauma.
Okay.
So that was a big part. And I still had a difficult time with admitting that I had a alcohol and drug problem, because I was what you would call a binge drinker or a binge user. So for me, it wasn't necessarily all the time until probably the end, where it was every day. And I was getting paranoid, and I was really not capable of functioning as much. I was I was functioning and I was paying some of my bills, but not all of my bills. So the
Yeah.
lights would turn off. And towards the end, it was, there's a difference between a functioning alcoholic and an alcoholic,
Yeah.
but they're one and the same as well.
Yeah. I kind of cringe when I hear people say functioning alcoholic
Right.
because you really aren't.
No,
Really,
no.
it's kind of
It's
it's
just an
kind of not,
excuse to
you're
be
kind of not.
miserable.
You really aren't. You
Right,
really aren't
right, right.
because you're still not being honest.
Well,
And
and
I mean,
that's
I could say I was a functioning alcoholic, but I was actually I was cheating my employer. I was going into work late, leaving early. So I really wasn't a functioning alcoholic. So,
too
so
late.
I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
really? So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just because you're doing the activities that you would do sober doesn't mean that you're functioning.
right.
So,
So,
but so that happened, and um I could the one of my therapists said to me, there's no way to tell if you are an alcoholic or or suffer from all these mental illnesses. Why don't you could try to stop drinking? And there are multiple times where therapists would say that. And, I still wanted to have fun. So I thought that drinking and using was fun, right? Like I didn't know my identity. Like I was amongst a whole bunch of alcoholics and drug addicts. So like for me, that was a normal reality, right?
yeah,
But I had no idea that life could be different. Like I didn't know that it could be amazing without the use.
yeah.
And so there was a moment where I was about a week away from having a year sober. And um, I had become homeless, um, living at the YWCA because that narcissist started using crack again. And I had met him in the rooms, and I was like, I'm not going to deal with this. And I'm proud of myself for having the ability to leave, and that has been my case thus this far, of like leaving situations that were not healthy for me, because I think he would have killed me, to be honest with you, or hurt me. He was obsessed. And so I left the YW. I went to move to the YWCA, and this was during the recession. So like I had no money to my name. There was nothing. And I was doing hair at the time, and like there was barely any work coming in. I don't even know how I survived. And one of my friends gave me a check for $134, and she said, "Stay here." And I was like, that was the most gracious and thoughtful and giving thing and that anybody could give me.
Wow.
And yeah, and that gave me some hope. But at the same time, my father-in-law at the time passed away. My son had gotten hit by a car. All these excuses that I wasn't willing to take accountability. And, on top of that, that BPD was rearing its little head. It's just like these emotions were so intense. I needed to cut it out in order for me to feel relief. And that's part of what borderline personality disorder is like there's such an intense feeling internally that the impulse is to alleviate that
Mm-hmm.
intensity. So
Mm-hmm.
addiction or suicide, some people cut themselves. I never was a cutter, but or some people indulge in eating or indulge in sexual activities.
Mm-hmm.
Those were some of those were my thing and some of them weren't, but um I needed an excuse, and someone I knew, the guy that I was dating at the time, was like, can you get me a bag of something? And I was like, sure. And I was chasing a guy, so I didn't know how to have relationships. I was chasing a guy. Thank God I didn't stay with that person. And I left a meeting, a 10 p.m. meeting, to go out to the bar. And I remember having this God consciousness in the back of my mind. Like, I kept on hearing, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You really don't want to do that. And I was like, yes, I do. And bottoms up. And for me, um, it was like lights out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were getting high at the bar, above the bar at this apartment complex. And I saw this guy. He had blue eyes, and his eyes were pitch black. And I swear to you, that was a spiritual experience more than anything. And I remember thinking to myself and feeling like it would be my luck to be 6 feet under, but to be spiritually sick like that man was, it shook me in a way that it did it for me. Like, I hadn't lost anything, but I had made the excuses of like, well, everything's shit, life's shit. I can't make money. I don't have my kids. I suffer from trauma. I had a narcissist boyfriend. I'm living at the YWCA. That's my excuse. All right, fuck you. I'm out. And that moment was the moment that I realized that God was trying to was getting my attention. And
Wow.
and it was like I can see it as clear as day right now, and that's 15 years ago.
Wow.
I'll never forget that experience. I mean, it gives me goosebumps because it shook me to an extent that um, it's in the forefront of my mind, and I hope that I never forget that moment. And it keeps it real for me because I'm okay with dying. I'm not okay with spiritually dying.
Yeah.
And why that is, because my soul means something to me today.
Yeah.
Today. Um, so it was that moment where I had to become very relentless about my recovery, about my mental health, about uh, getting sober, but also doing everything different, everything. Like, and it was so uncomfortable. Like, even to the point of like putting my pants on backwards or differently, or brushing my teeth differently, or self-talk, positive self-talk. It had to be different. And I wish I could say that it was easy in that moment. Like, in those moments, it felt like pulling teeth. It was so painful because of all of the limiting beliefs I had about myself and about my journey. And that was probably one of the most painful things. And then, I had, one of my sponsors at the time said, maybe you need to go without relationships, because that was another addiction of mine.
Mhm.
was relationships. And that was painful. It was like I was dying. Felt like I was dying because all I ever wanted was to be loved, and because I had never received love in a way that I wanted to receive. But what I didn't realize was I needed to love myself more than anything. And I had to
Mhm.
find ways to love myself that were soul feeding instead of soul uh, taking.
Mhm.
And I wish I could say the moment of like everything went all peachy keen and life changed, but it was a very slow movement forward. And eventually I was about 8 or 9 months sober. I moved out of the YWCA, had my own apartment. Things slowly started getting better. And I started diving into my spiritual practice, and my gifts started coming back. And there were a lot of things where I was just wishing I could, or I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this. And one of the, I'm going to do this is that I'm going to be a holistic practitioner, or I'm going to be a reader at this one particular store. I have been wanting to be a tarot reader for this particular store for about 15 years. And I became that. And so slowly but surely, I started building on my self-worth and self-esteem, and my gifts started, excuse me, my gifts started coming back, and I was able to see things in a different light. And so all those times that I was in relationships where I was like pointing, not necessarily pointing a finger, but I was able to see behind the curtain of how these men showed up, they were all accurate. It was just that, and they thought I was crazy, but it wasn't the fact that I was crazy. It was that my intuition knew, I just didn't know how to trust it.
Mhm. Right.
Um, and so, I have gotten to do things like, as a result of getting sober, or getting mentally sane again, or somewhat sane, sane-ish. you
Yep,
know,
kind of resonates.
yeah. Uh, I just started getting really serious about not only my recovery, but changing those limiting beliefs about the way I viewed the world, or being the victim. And let me tell you, I have to tell you, one of the greatest gifts that I ever received was understanding that although what happened to me at the ages of 2 to 11, that I was victimized in those moments, that even as time passed on, I could choose to stay the victim of circumstance and environment, or do something different about it. But understanding that I was choosing to be a victim was one of the biggest gifts I could have ever have received. Because then I could be able to say, oh, am I choosing to be a victim, or am I choosing to do something different? Now, don't get me wrong. What I'm trying to say is that, yes, there are things that are horrible that happen to us in our lives. There are things that no person should ever go through. However, it's what we do with that experience that defines how we show up differently. And
Right.
it's not without it's going through the emotions, going through the pain, because I'm a big advocate of be where you're at. Feel what you need to feel, understand what you need to understand, but don't stay in that area.
Right.
Move somewhere else.
Right.
Because as a result of that, I have been able to have a life I never thought I could have. I talk about changing your limiting beliefs. I'd always wanted to travel the world and never had my passport, and um, had a chance to, people donated money to help me get a plane ticket. And then I went to the Netherlands for my first time. I got my certification as a hypnotherapist. I went back to school because I had back issues. I had back surgery and I thought I was going to die because of that. And that was 10 years of horribleness. But I didn't think I was ever going to practice hair again. So I went back to be a holistic practitioner, and finished that. And, it's amazing when you have a clear mind, how life can change when you choose for it to change. I've been able to teach around the world. I have become a ceremonial midwife. I'm a shamanic practitioner. I do readings. Like from that person that I just explained to this person now, it's a very big shift. And do I feel happy all the time? No. Do I feel peace most of the time? Yes. Do I lose my shit sometimes? Absolutely. But they're not moments in the way they used to be, where I would burn everything up. I mean, like I set everything aflame. And people didn't want to be around me.
Yeah.
I truly, and those gifts that I speak of, I'm able to help people in a way that I never thought would be possible. And it's not because of me, it's because I have a God of my understanding, and I've allowed my God of my understanding to work through me. And so, when I talk about being a healer or a practitioner, it's not just my doing. It's something greater.
Yeah. And that's and your the God of your understanding is not the same as mine. And that's what people need to who people who are searching for recovery need to understand, that is that it it's of their own, it's something that they have to search for themselves. It's not the same for everybody. You know it can be different.
And that was a huge aha moment, because I'd like to shed some light on that one too. I was brought up Catholic and then Pentecostal, and I was brought up having a punishing God. And so I thought like a lot of people, I thought that I was just not redeemable. Like God would not redeem me. Like that I didn't have a God that was going to love me unconditionally. Well, honestly, to me, that's not God. To
Yeah.
me, that I had to really redefine. That is the major reason why I believe my life has changed. Now, for the atheist person or the agnostic person, in order to change, you have to change your mind in whatever that is. But there is something greater than us, and it can be our higher self. But the moment I had an understanding or created a relationship with something that was greater, most times it's nature, most times it's energy. And I have that relationship. And with that relationship, I have been able to do things that I never thought I could. I thought I was going to die the way that I was. And, I'm about to turn 50 this year. And so there's been a lot of reflection about that, because it'll have been 20 something years. I had spent 30 something years trying to commit suicide. And that has not been my reality for a good 20 years, almost 20 years. And, that is a blessing. That I don't take full credit for that. The credit I do take is the willingness to wake up and get out of that bed and do something different. That's all I have take credit for. And for giving myself permission to change my thinking. And the rest, I look back and I've been reflecting, and I'm like, how did I get through some of these things? You know, anywhere from my father being murdered and my mom being a single person, and then meeting my sisters. I got to meet my sisters
Oh, wow.
about 3 years ago, and that was a big thing. And I think back, had I tried to commit suicide, had I committed suicide, I would have not been able to see my children grow up. I would have never been able to graduate college at the age of 40. I would have never been able to travel the world or be of service to other people that may have the same experiences that I had. I may have never been able to understand fully what peace and joy is. And that's all I wanted. And that thing of belonging, yeah, I still struggle with belonging, but I belong to a higher power. And that keeps me going. And I have these guides that are amazing and they keep me going. And they may not be people, but they're a relationship with something greater than I am. And that's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
So that
just think, if you would have jumped out of that window at 11 years old, you would have missed out on 39 years. What is it, 39 years? Yeah. 39 years, 3 children, and then all of this right now. Like, that's sad. That would have.
But here's the thing, there are people out there that are doing that.
And I know. And the thing is those feelings are only temporary. Like, it's only temporary. But if you make that decision, it's permanent.
That's right.
You have to remember that. It's a fleeting thought, but that decision is permanent, and you can't change it.
No. And I often think about, what made me different or made me special, because I don't believe myself as being special or different. But something did happen, and I think that is the miracle that happens if we continue to move forward, if we continue to do things despite of what we're thinking or how we feel in that moment. Because in the core of who we are in our spirits, it knows what is right in our heart. And it knows, our spirit knows how to move forward, what is good, and intuitively be guided. And that's what I teach my people, is how to intuitively be guided through your spirit, your knowing, instead of your emotions or your linear or logical thinking. Don't get me wrong, we need logic. We need the ego. But the knowing is what's the part that takes you from point A to point B. Meaning, there's no way I could have done all this through my thinking. Like, I have literally asked my higher power, all right, where's the next place to go? And there have been moments, like maybe in the last year, I have not known what the hell to do, but I have paused and I have been intuitively guided. And as a result of that, I've gotten a corporate gig. I'm teaching this year. I'm doing all these things because I'm listening and paying attention and saying yes.
Yeah.
Through my intuitive guide, instead of, oh, I don't know how this feels, if it's great, is it going to pay out? It's like my body says a full yes. I trust that today.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, the thing is when, for me, if I base my decisions on my feelings, that gets me in trouble every freaking time.
Yeah. Hell to the yeah. Especially in intimate relationships.
Oh, sure.
Oh, but I love him. Oh, he's so good and he makes me feel so yummy inside. How many times I have ruined my life because of that
Dude.
feeling.
So I can't do that anymore. I
No,
can't base my decisions off of my feelings anymore. I can't do that. It's bad.
it is a bad neighborhood.
It's bad. So I have to pause and I have to go to the facts. For me, I can only speak for myself because feelings get me in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can go way the fuck out there. Well, my
Relates.
feelings.
Relates. And I think that that's
So
what I'm speaking of. When we in a lot of the spiritual community, we call it the big heart coherence. And
yeah.
it's not based on your feelings, it's based on that big heart, that inner knowing.
Well, we just had a. I just had a. Um, I just had an episode with a friend of mine who is a highly sensitive person. I'm actually a highly sensitive person, and I'm an empath, and so and have been from the time I was born. So I pick up on, and this has has happened all my life, but I can feel what people feel,
Mm-hmm.
and and it's and so I was telling her, I said, I think that a lot of addicts and alcoholics are probably highly sensitive people. And I think a lot of them may possibly drink. And I don't know. This is just my observation. I think a lot of them probably drink and use because they're trying to escape that feeling, like the, the senses, the, that the highly sensitive, those feelings
Mm-hmm.
that they cannot control. That wasn't me. I just have always been like that. And she said, you know what? I think you're right. I've seen it, whatever. But I too have tend to have a little bit of an intuitive little I tend to attract um, visitors
Yeah.
from other uh, dimensions.
Yeah, I
As
teach
a
my
matter of,
people to do that, to protect themselves because of that. Yes, yes.
I, as a matter of fact, I have one right now in my condo.
I just saw that.
But it's funny because the one that I have in my condo right now, it's a she, and she does have a sense of humor, so she can stay. She can stay.
Okay. I can appreciate that. I
Yeah,
can appreciate that.
it's when they get a little out of hand.
So, really quick though, we all are intuitive. We're
I
all intuitive. Even the
I
most
know.
linear person is intuitive. We were born with that. It's
Yeah,
what we're willing to accept or dial in on,
right.
right? Like, that's what we were given. I mean, we have these five senses for a reason.
I know.
And so, like, I think over the centuries, it's just become it's been taboo because for whatever your belief is about control and all that stuff, we won't get into politics, but um, that has not been taught, although, biblically, there's supernatural everything.
Hmm.
And so if we could tune into the intuitive aspects of our reality, I think we'd be a better society personally, but who am I?
I I totally, I totally agree. I think a lot. I, me personally, I think, well, I think we've been dumbed down a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and not just educationally, but with our um, with our brain. I don't know how to say it. With our intuitive stuff. I think been we've not even tapped into what we can do.
Agreed.
So
Agreed. Wholeheartedly. And I think that we need to talk more about that. And especially women though. Like,
oh sure. Yep.
we are innately intuitive.
Absolutely. I agree. I
That
agree.
is part of, I'm not going to say job, but that is part of our makeup, is to intuitively be guided and be feminine in nature, to create in a way that is, I mean, we create life. Why wouldn't we be intuitive? Why wouldn't we, you know, feel through our intuition? I'm not speaking about our emotions. I'm speaking about our intuition.
Yeah,
That's a big deal.
it
And
is a big deal. It is a big deal.
so yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
So I will put, so what do you have coming up? Just
So I have what you would call the Plant Spirit Experience. It's a new hybrid 5-week course that is half online and half in person in Huntersville, North Carolina, at Bright Haven Farms. And what that is a class or a course that is meant for you to connect with the plants, but nature around you. We live in a world where life is busy, and this is a way for you to reconnect to yourself, connect with the plants, but also learn the mechanics of having ceremony for yourself, on how to create altars, how to understand about your 5 senses, and things that we take for granted. And some, oftentimes the teachings have not been um, utilized, or people don't even know that they need this so that they can feel more connected.
okay, cool.
Mhm.
Cool. All right. Well, I just so everybody knows, I'm putting all of Leanne's info in the episode description underneath. So if you want to get in contact with her, everything will be in there, her website info, all of her Instagram, TikTok, all that kind of stuff. And you can get in touch with her. If you want to, get take her workshop
I
or
do
anything else.
I do online as well. I do online sessions,
Yep.
hypnosis sessions, and intuitive readings and shamanic work as well. So, wherever you are, I can do session work with you.
Yeah.
Pandemic taught me that one.
Yeah. So reach out to her. Okay, Leanne. So I usually ask at the end. I ask my guests 10 questions, and they're all the same questions, by the way, but just to see um, how everybody answers them. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. All
Do
right. So, the first question is, what skill would you like to ultimately master and why?
Ooh, I would like to master my skill of clairaudient.
Ooh. Oh,
Yes.
that So explain that to people so that they understand what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, but
So clairaudience is where you can hear spirits. Like I can hear the dead sometimes speaking. I can see them, and sometimes I hear them, but I'd like to really dial in and being able to hear clairaudience. It's where you can hear um, uh, the spirit speaking to you, sometimes God, or like messages that are meant from the divine.
very good. All right. Okay, so question 2. What has been the highlight of your life thus far and why?
Man, highlight of my life has been traveling solo, traveling around
Nice.
the world solo.
Nice. Where did you go last?
Went to Seville, Spain.
I was going to say Spain. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going there again in September.
Oh, cool. What are you going to do there?
I'm gonna go meet a friend of mine who's moving to Spain, and so I'll stay in Madrid and
Oh, nice.
Alicante.
You going to run with the bulls?
I hope to see some bulls.
Okay,
Yeah.
with that, next question. And it's the perfect one. It's the perfect one. What risk have you not taken? What risk have you not taken that you would still like to take, and why haven't you?
Dang. What risks? The only thing I can think of, because I have just been sitting on it, is moving to another country. And I haven't done it because I don't know what country to move to, or
Okay.
what
I,
state.
I was gonna ask you, well, what country, but if you don't know, then
Spain is like a one, definitely. Spain is the first one, but yeah.
okay. All right. Do you have any nicknames or pet names?
Do I have any nicknames?
Yeah.
Well, my medicine name is Little Big Thunder.
Little Big Thunder.
Hmm.
Anything else that
Um,
that you can that you can share
share.
out loud?
Yeah. Well, Holly, I'm not sure if I could share the other ones. My partner calls me Mamacita.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. That's great. That's a great one.
Okay. All right, next question. What person, living, dead, or a character do you most relate to and why?
The first thing that comes to mind is Dora the Explorer. I got my backpack all the time. Backpack, backpack. You're welcome.
Okay. Okay. Oh my God. Oh, let me catch my breath. Okay, next one. Next one. Who do you admire and why?
Oh man.
Not North.
No cartoons, I promise. I'd have to say my teachers. My plant spirit teacher, my vision quest teacher, and my shamanic teacher, for staying in integrity and for um, having the courage to continue to do their teaching so that others can show up for the next century or for the next decade. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay, so, and this is a trick question, by the way, but what has been your biggest mistake or regret, and why? And the reason I say it's a trick question is because we usually learn from our mistakes.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah, I have to say I don't, if you would have asked me 10 years ago or 15 years ago, what was my biggest regret is that I didn't fully take advantage of my education at an earlier age. But in the same breath, I wouldn't be where I'm at today doing the things that I've done. Yeah, I think,
okay.
yeah, that's it.
But then it probably wouldn't have, you probably wouldn't have experienced a lot of the stuff you're experiencing now. Who knows?
Or, the other thing that comes to mind is like being a better parent.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
everything happens at the right time anyway.
that's a fact.
So,
I'll be a
okay.
great grandmother, though.
What?
I'll be a great grandmother, though.
Are you serious?
No, when the time comes, I'll be a
Don't
great
scare me like
grandmother. I am not ready for grandchildren, but
okay.
but they may be.
Okay, let's see. Hang on. My phone just closed here. Well, dude, come on. Okay, so what's your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Very good. Very good. Mine too.
Yeah.
I can morph it into anything.
Yep.
Morph that word into anything.
Matter of fact, I just read a curse word that says fructose intolerant.
Fructose intolerant.
Tolerant of other people's bullshit. That was like
I just saw one the other day that was called what was it? Dictism, and it means you're a dick acting like a victim.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Okay, next question. What is your ethnicity and your heritage? And the reason I ask that is kind of to give people an idea. Well, first of all, I like to know because I think it's interesting. But second of all, I ask that because I like to show people that it doesn't matter who we are or where we came from. We all have issues, but we all can come together with our issues and that we all overcome these things. You know what I mean?
So I actually just got my DNA back for the second time. I was brought up Puerto Rican, but my lineage, so Puerto Rican is a combination of Spaniard, African, and indigenous Taino. So those are the makeups of Puerto Ricans. So I'm mainly Spaniard, though, and Taino, and the rest is African.
Oh, cool.
1% Ashkenazi and the other 1% French. So I go
what's Ashken?
Is Jewish.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so last question. What would you hope your higher power, God, or the universe would say to you when you pass or transition or die?
Well done.
I'm sure he will. He or she will. So that's it. Do you want to say a closing prayer?
Yes. Great Spirit, thank you so much for this opportunity to be able to speak. Thank you for helping me to be the hollow bone. And thank you for helping me to move forward into this world, into this life, to be of service to those that may listen to this podcast. Thank you to the guardians of the East, the South, the West, and the North, the up above and so below. Thank you for our well-seated ancestors and our spirit guides for bearing witness to this podcast and also holding us in a safe container. It is with great honor and a humble heart I close this circle. Ashe.
Thank you, Leanne. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing your story and being vulnerable. And I miss you.
I miss you. Oh my
But
God.
I'm glad you
Did you
I'm
shut
glad
the
to see your
recording?
face and that you shared yourself with everybody.
Did you stop the recording?
No,
Oh, damn.
not yet. But anyway, because you said that, I will. Everybody, we'll see you next time on the next episode. Join us again.